Georgy Konstantinovich Zhukov oversaw the Soviet Red Army during World War II. He was born in 1896 into a very poor peasant family, and as a young man, he apprenticed as a furrier to his uncle in Moscow. Now, young Georgy proved to be an avid reader, and he soon enrolled in a part-time night school to expand his education. In 1914, at the age of 18, his fortunes changed as he was conscripted into the Russian Imperial Army and fought the Germans at Kharkov. After Russia withdrew from the war and fell into civil war, he allied with the Russian Communist Party during the 1917 October Revolution. And in 1920, he was commissioned as a cavalry officer and actively participated in suppressing rebellion during the early years of the Soviet Union. He quickly rose through the ranks in the 1920s, avoiding several purges which saw the execution of some of his fellow officers. In the 1930s, he was transferred to Asia, where he saw action during the border conflicts with Japan. He proved his capability as a commander at the Battle of Khalkhin-Gol, where he engaged in a large-scale operation that utilized coordinated attacks between forces of fighter-bombers and tanks. Zhukov was able to encircle the Japanese forces and capture their rear supply areas, forcing them out of the region. Now, little known outside of the Soviet Union, Zhukov's use of BT-5 and BT-7 tanks was revolutionary. He applied the lessons that he'd learned from tank battles, replacing the fire-prone gasoline engines with a much safer diesel engine. Also, veteran tank crews of battles were transferred to other tank units to disseminate their experience. Now, Zhukov had a bulldog-like personality. He was known for being stubborn and inflexible. However, he also had an ability to skillfully take the initiative and had the discipline and sheer persistence to carry out a plan to its end. He was said to have a lack of general grace that was brought about by his peasant heritage, though he balanced this with a natural intelligence that handily applied his military training. During the war years, he was happiest in leading in the field of combat. By 1941, Zhukov had become chief of the Red Army's general staff, and he was preparing for a Soviet response against the looming German threat on the western border. Now, it's unclear if these preparations were supported by Joseph Stalin, as well as Zhukov's other military peers. On the 22nd of June of 1941, the Germans launched Operation Barbarossa. This was, of course, the massive invasion of the Soviet Union. Now, Zhukov's disorganized forces were soundly defeated by the German Wehrmacht, and Stalin removed him from his post and demoted him to commanding reserve units. He was then moved to Leningrad, where he oversaw the defense of the city. As the Soviet forces fell back, he participated in the Battle of Moscow, and later in the defense of Stalingrad. Slowly and steadily, he climbed back into Stalin's good graces, and he was promoted to Marshal of the Soviet Union in 1943. He claimed credit for beating the Germans at the decisive Battle of Kursk. However, his level of involvement was contested by a number of other fellow commanders. As the war slowly headed towards its conclusion, Zhukov was heavily involved in the western advance towards Berlin. And in revenge for the atrocities committed by the Germans, the Soviets, under Zhukov's clear orders, showed an equal brutality towards German civilians that they encountered along the way. In 1945, Zhukov was there to accept the German surrender in Berlin, and he stayed on there to oversee post-war rebuilding of the city for some time. Later that year, he met with Eisenhower, Montgomery, and other Allied officials at Potsdam, where they discussed the continuing war with Japan and how to rebuild Germany. Now, Zhukov and Eisenhower enjoyed a fairly warm relationship with each other, and Ike was responsible for introducing the Soviet commander to Coca-Cola, which in the Soviet Union was seen as something of a symbol of Western imperialism. Now, it's claimed that Zhukov enjoyed Coke so much that the company sent him 50 cases of white Coke, which had been made colorless to resemble vodka. After the war, Zhukov became a victim to political rivalry, and he was stripped of his command for a second time. His abrasive personality had alienated a number of Soviet officials, and he was entangled in a scandal where it was discovered that he had enriched himself with German valuables that he had taken during the war. Now, while his relationship with Joseph Stalin had been contentious, Zhukov had met with the leader often and was one of the very few people who could read the dictator and deal with Stalin's capricious moods. Now, Stalin, who was surrounded by a cadre of sycophants and yes-men, respected the general's blunt demeanor, though he rightfully questioned his subordinates' limited political skills. On the 5th of March of 1953, at 9:50, Stalin died of a stroke, and the Soviet Union fell into a leadership crisis. Zhukov allied himself with his old friend Nikita Khrushchev and helped purge the government of political rivals. Over the next 3 years, Zhukov remained heavily involved in Soviet politics, particularly in the Warsaw Bloc countries of Eastern Europe. However, his increased popularity, both at home and abroad, kindled old rivalries and jealousies, And eventually the Soviet leadership, including his old friend Khrushchev, turned on him, and in 1957, at the age of 62, he was forced into retirement. He spent his twilight years hunting and fishing. While he was plagued with heart disease, the general worked feverishly to get his memoirs written before he died. These were, of course, challenged by corrupt Soviet officials who countered his writing with censorship and revision. In 1968, he was hospitalized for a serious stroke, but he was able to publish his memoirs to much critical acclaim a year later. And in 1974, he died from another stroke. He was given a hero's funeral, and his cremated remains were placed in the necropolis at the Kremlin Wall. Okay, this week we're talking about the Russian campaign. Now, this was originally designed by the great John Edwards for Jedco Games in 1974, and then shortly after it was published in the United States by the Avalon Game Company. The map covers most of Eastern Europe and the Western Soviet Union, so basically Berlin to Moscow, and the scale is about 32 miles per hex. Now, terrain features printed on the map define hexes such as mountains, woods, swamp, or rivers. And a hex with no specific terrain feature or only a small speck of terrain from the adjacent hex is referred to as clear terrain. Now, other map features include major cities, minor cities, railroads, and oil fields. And the playing pieces represent military forces of both sides. They're primarily of Army and Corps size. Now, all combat units have a combat factor representing the strength of the unit for attack and defense, and also a movement factor representing the mobility of the unit. The Russian player sets up first, and the Russian units are placed in any hexes inside the correct military district, or MD, and units with a city name printed on the counter have to be placed in that city hex. Cities on the map are the key objectives, and control of all cities assures victory. Then the German player sets up, and all German and Axis allies are placed in any hexes inside the designated area for Army Group North, which is the AGN, Army Group Center, which is AGC, Army Group South, which is AGS, and then also Romania. The Finnish units, which are allies with the Germans, are placed in any hex in Finland. And all other units arrive as reinforcements and should be placed on the order of arrival display on the map. Now, on the first impulse of the first turn, the Army Group North may only attack the Baltic Military District. Army Group Central may only attack the Western Military District. Army Group South may only attack the Kiev Military District. And the Axis forces in Romania may only attack either the Odessa or Kiev Military District. Finnish forces always attack from Finland. Now, the sequence of play looks a little complex, but it's really not. The Germans start with their first impulse, and they bring in replacements on a yearly basis, and then reinforcements are brought in. After this, we have movement and combat, and then we remove the partisans. The Germans then have a second impulse where they do the same thing. They go through the reinforcements, they move, they have combat, and then they check for isolation. The Russians begin their first impulse with replacements and reinforcements, followed by movement, and during certain turns they can bring in paratroops, and finally combat. This is followed by a second Russian impulse, which again involves reinforcements, movement, combat. We check for isolation during the second impulse, and then we deploy any partisans. And at this point, we go to the next game turn. The German player always rolls a weather roll at the beginning of each turn, and you consult the weather chart to determine the weather conditions for the turn as either clear, light mud, mud, or snow. The German then begins their first impulse. They check the number of Stuka aircraft available, they check the order of arrival for reinforcements, they take replacements once per year, and they move units on the map as indicated on the movement chart, including movements by rail or sea. Now, after all movement is completed, the German player resolves all combat one at a time in any order that they wish. At the end of the German first impulse, any partisan units in the zone of control of a German unit or within 5 hexes of an SS unit are removed. The German then begins their second impulse. They can check for reinforcements and move units that are not in an enemy zone of control up to the maximum permitted on the movement chart. The headquarters may also use their full movement factor during this impulse. However, no Stukas, rail movement, or sea movement are allowed during the second impulse. Now, after all movements completed, all combats are resolved, and the German units are checked for isolation. We then begin the Russian first impulse, and you conduct all activities indicated in the German first impulse, except for removing the partisans. Russian replacements can occur each turn, and Russian paratroop units can be used. Now, during the second impulse, you conduct all activities indicated like you did in the German second impulse. And at the end of the Russian second impulse, the Russian player can deploy partisan units and check Russian units for isolation. Movement in this game is pretty standard. Units on the map move from hex to hex, and they pay movement points for each hex or partial hex they enter. And the total number of movement points a unit can expend is limited to the movement factor of the unit. Now, units can move through hexes containing other friendly units, and they can't move into a hex containing an enemy unit. And the movement factor of a unit can be reduced by the current weather conditions, and it's always reduced from movement in the second impulse of each turn. And I always refer to the movement chart at the start of each impulse to determine the movement factor available. Now, during the second impulse, cavalry and infantry type units from both sides cannot move. However, motorized units like Panzer and Panzer Grenadier units, Russian army, and guards may move using the reduced movement factor that's shown on the movement chart. Now, all units except for infantry units have to stop and end movement if they enter a woods hex. And all units except mountain units have to stop if they enter a mountain hex. Finally, all units have to stop when they enter a swamp hex, and that ends their movement. Now note that in snowy weather, all swamps freeze up and are treated as clear terrain, and units can't cross a lake or a coastal border. They can move through the Kerch Strait, but they must end movement in the hex on the other side. And note that units cannot cross the Kerch Strait into a hex in the zone of control of an enemy unit. Units can stack in this game, and a stack can contain a maximum of 2 army-sized units or 3 corps-sized units, or 1 army unit and 1 corps. Other units in the game, like headquarters, workmen, partisans, Hitler, Stalin, and the SS reserve units, don't affect the stacking unit, and they can stack freely in any hex. Like most war games, each unit has a zone of control, which are the 6 hexes adjacent to it. And also zones of control don't extend across coast or lake borders, or across the Kerch Strait. Now, units that enter an enemy zone of control have to stop and end movement for the current impulse, and units cannot move directly from one enemy zone of control into another enemy zone of control. Finally, any unit that begins the second impulse in an enemy zone of control can't move. Now, the Axis player can make automatic victories, and they have to move adjacent to and attack Russian units at least 10-to-1 odds, or 7-to-1 odds if they have a Stuka with them. And these Russian units then surrender without a die roll, and they're removed permanently from play during the movement portion of the attacker's turn. Now, units that do not take part in the 10-to-1 attack can move through or into the eliminated unit's hex or may attack other units. Now, units taking part in the 10-to-1 attack cannot move any further that impulse, and they may not attack other enemy units for the remainder of that turn, including any subsequent second impulses. And if units used to obtain an automatic victory are left adjacent to enemy units at the end of the first impulse, other friendly units must be brought up to attack the adjacent enemy units. And if these friendly units can't be brought up to attack the adjacent enemy units, then the automatic victory units cannot make a legal attack and must surrender. Now, units can make rail movements only during their first impulse, and the Germans can move 6 units by rail each turn. This is limited a little bit more during snow turns when they can only move 3 German units by rail per turn. The Russians can move 5 units by rail each turn, and in addition, all replacements and reinforcements arriving in the first impulse can move by rail, and this doesn't count against your per turn limit. To move by rail, a unit has to start the impulse on a rail line, and they can freely move any distance along the contiguous connected rail line hexes, and they do end movement for the impulse still on the rail line. Now, units cannot begin a rail movement in an enemy zone of control, and they can't enter an enemy zone of control at any time during a rail movement. If they do so, they stop. Also, units that move by rail can't use normal movement in the same impulse. Now, the terrain that the railroads move through has absolutely no effect on rail movement through those hexes. Conversely, units moving normally may not utilize the rail lines to negate the movement effects of terrain as if the rail line were some sort of open road. Now, a unit can use rail movement only if it can trace a path free of enemy zones of control back along the rail line to a city under friendly control. And the city can be in a zone of control and support rail movement, but the rail line from the city to the unit cannot pass through enemy zones of control nor enemy-controlled cities. And the railroads must be possessed prior to the turn of their use. The German player uses the railroad markers to identify the most advanced Axis railheads, and all rail hexes beyond the railheads are assumed to be in Russian control. Now, each player does adjust their railroad counters at the end of their second impulse, after combat. The German player moves each railhead up to the furthest railroad hex occupied or passed through by an Axis unit that turn, provided that at the moment of occupation, a path free of Russian zones of control can be traced from that hex along the railroad back to a single Axis-controlled city or the west edge of the map board. And again, the path can't go through Russian-controlled cities. Now, when the Russian player moves, they take control of the furthest railroad hexes that their own units occupied or passed through during the Russian turn, provided that at the moment of occupation, they have a path free of Axis zones of control and Axis-controlled cities. And they do this back to a friendly Russian-controlled city or the east or south edge of the board. Now, the Russian player then pushes the railroad markers back so that they're just beyond the railroad lines that the Russians control. And a player can never lose possession of railroad hexes on their own turn. Now, C unit can be used only in the first impulse, and units that use C movement cannot use rail movement or regular movement in the same impulse. Now, the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea are separate areas, and C movement is not allowed from one of these areas to the other. Now, in the Baltic Sea, which is German-controlled, 1 unit per turn may move from a port city to another port city, and 1 unit per turn may be moved from a coastal hex to a port city. And each unit that moves by sea in this area has to roll a die to check for survival. On a result of 5 or 6, the unit is eliminated. And you add +1 to the die roll if the unit is being moved from a coastal hex to a port. Now, in the Black Sea, or the Sea of Azov, each player can move 1 unit per turn from a port city to another port city, or 1 unit from a coastal hex to a port city. And each unit that moves by sea in this area must roll a die check to survive, and on a roll of 4, 5, or 6, the unit's eliminated. However, you subtract 1 from the result for each of the following cities that are under friendly control, and those include Odessa, Sevastopol, and Rostov. Now, twice per game, each side can move 1 unit from a friendly port city to a coastal hex on the Black Sea or the Sea of Azov, basically invading the area. And the unit can conduct combat and is not subject to isolation in that current turn or in the next turn. The units used for invasion count as 1 unit limit on sea movement, and they are subject to the same sea movement die roll as any other unit moved by sea. Combat's pretty straightforward. During the combat portion of the current impulse, combat is mandatory between opposing forces that are adjacent to each other, and the player conducting the impulse is the attacker while the opposing player is the defender. Attacker selects and resolves their combat in any order that they wish. All enemy units adjacent to a friendly unit have to be attacked, and every friendly unit adjacent to an enemy unit must attack at least 1 enemy unit. Each unit in a stack can attack a different hex, and any number of attacking units can combine to attack a single hex, provided all the attacking units are adjacent to the defending hex. Also, all defending units in a hex must be attacked as 1 combined strength, and the combat factors of individual units can never be divided between combats. Now, for each combat, you total the combat factors of all the attacking units and total the combat factors of all the defending units. You then compare the totals and express the result as a numerical odds ratio, basically attacker to defender. And also remember, you always round off downwards in favor of the defender. Odds greater than 7 to 1 are resolved in 7 to 1, while those less than 1 to 6 are not allowed. Basically, units that are forced to attack at less than 1 to 6 odds automatically surrender, and they're permanently eliminated, and they're not available for replacements. Terrain can affect combat, and when adding up your combat factors, you consider any modifications that apply to the attacker and defender units. And units defending in mountains or major city hexes have their combat factors double. Units defending behind a river hex have their defensive combat factors doubled. However, remember that units defending behind a river are doubled only if all attacking units are on a river hex. So it would not be doubled in this situation I'm showing here. Now, hexes containing a major city and a river are not cumulative. So basically, doubling defense is about as good as it's going to get for the defender. One exception to the river defense rule is that on the first impulse of the game, Russian units defending behind a river are not doubled. Now, after the combat results are determined, the attacker rolls a die and they find the combat result on the appropriate odds column of the combat results table, or the CRT. And you refer to the list of combat results and explanations listed below the CRT, and you implement that result immediately. When a combat result calls for eliminating a unit, so for instance A1 or D1 or exchange, the attacking player selects the attacking unit, and the defending player selects the defending unit that will be eliminated. Other results can call for elimination of all attacking units, such as AE, or all defending units, which is DE. Now, when units are eliminated in combat, you place the unit counters in the eliminated unit boxes on the map, and these eliminated units are available as replacements. Now, units that surrender are eliminated permanently, and they're not available for replacements. If the combat result calls for retreat, 1 or 2 hexes, the retreat's handled by the attacker. And units cannot retreat off the map into an enemy zone of control, across a lake or coast hex, or into a hex in violation of the stacking limit. And if they're forced into any of these, they are eliminated. Outside of the lakes and coast hexes, however, terrain does not affect retreating units. Also, a stack of retreating units can be split up by an attacker. Finally, units defending in a woods hex ignore all retreat requirements. Now, at the end of the second impulse, you check all friendly units to see if any of them have become isolated. Now, units more than 8 hexes from a friendly controlled city or rail hex connected to a friendly controlled city are immediately eliminated. And on snow turns, this distance reduced to 4 hexes. Now, the path of hexes from the unit to the city or the rail hex, and the path of the rail hex to the city cannot pass through an enemy zone of control or an enemy-controlled city. However, the city itself does not require a friendly-controlled rail line back to the map edge. Also, one exception to this is parachute units are never isolated. Supply units are pretty simple. All combat supply applies to Axis units located in Russian territory. And during snow turns in 1941 and the first 2 turns of 1942, all Axis units that are more than 1 hex away from a friendly controlled city have their combat factors halved, and you round this up. Now, during the snow turns of November and December of 1942 and the first 2 turns of 1943, the Axis units that are more than 2 hexes from a friendly controlled city have their combat factor halved. And note that a friendly controlled city is one a player occupies, or if it's out of an enemy zone of control and the player was the last to occupy it or have it in their zone of control. Now, a combat supply condition is determined at the instant of combat resolution, and therefore it can change during an impulse due to the results of an earlier attack. Reinforcements are important to both sides, and all reinforcements enter the game as indicated on the order of arrival table. Units with a specific city name are placed in the city hex, and if that city is captured, the units enter on the east map edge. And additionally, all other Russian units enter in any hex on the east edge of the map. The German and Italian units enter the map in any hex along the west edge. Romanian units are placed in Bucharest, and Hungarian units are placed on rail lines in Hungary. Now, units arriving in the first impulse may move normally or use rail movement. Units arriving in the second impulse have to use normal movement. There's a few special reinforcements. In July and November of 43, 2 Panzer Grenadier units are exchanged for infantry units with the same unit designation that are on the map. And if the designated unit has been eliminated, then you choose any German infantry unit of equal combat value for the exchange. And exchange units are removed permanently. Now, in May of 44, the Axis player has to withdraw 2 SS Panzer Corps from units in play on the map. And if SS units are not available, regular Panzer Corps units can be substituted. And the units withdrawn in May return in January and February of 45. In March of 45 and May of 45, the German player has to withdraw 1 German corps of any type from units in play on the map. And if Helsinki's ever captured, the Russian 14th Army enters the map on any north edge rail hex. If Archangel's been captured, the German 36th Mountain and Untitled Mountain units enter the map on any north edge rail hex. Starting in 44, if the Russians are within 2 hexes of Warsaw, the 4th SS and the Hermann Goering Panzer units arrive on the west map edge. Starting in 43, if the Russians are within 5 hexes of Bucharest, the German 15th and 21st Mountain units are placed in Bucharest, or they can enter the map in any west edge hex in Romania. If this occurs in 44 or 45, you add the 91st, 97th, and 5th SS Mountain units. Now, once each year, starting in 42, on the first clear weather impulse of each year, replacement units can be taken from among the units that have been eliminated in battle. You select all replacement units available and have them arrive as reinforcements. Now, Axis replacement units consist of SS units, a headquarters, 1 Panzer unit for each oil field controlled by the German player up to a maximum of 3, 1 Panzer Grenadier unit, 1 German 3-4, 1 German 4-4, 1 German 5-4, 1 German mountain unit, 1 Italian unit, 1 Hungarian unit, 1 Romanian unit, and 1 Finnish unit, which is placed in Helsinki. Now, if the type of unit is not available, then you can simply substitute a German 3-4 infantry unit. Exceptions to this would be the SS unit, the Axis minor ally units, the Luftwaffe ground units, or the Army Group headquarters units, in which you cannot make a substitution. The Axis player receives no replacements at all in 1945. At the start of the Russian first impulse, every turn, you total the replacement value of all worker units on the map, and you select a number of eliminated units whose total combined combat factors do not exceed that total. Now, only 1 armor unit, whether it's a guard or non-guard, and 1 guard infantry or cavalry unit can be among the rebuilt units each turn. And rebuilt units can be placed in any city containing a worker, up to 1 per city, or they can enter the map in any hex along the east edge of the map, paying a movement cost starting with the arrival hex on the map. Now, the worker unit that arrives at Archangel has a variable replacement value. And to determine the value of the worker, you roll a die and you add the result to the replacement total. The value printed on the counter unit is then used as a combat factor for defense. And starting in May and June of 43, the replacement value of each worker is doubled. However, the value used when defending remains the same. Finally, on January and February of 45, the Archangel unit is removed. A couple little special rules for the game. You have units that represent Hitler and Stalin, and these leader units are treated the same as regular combat units, and Hitler can use rail and sea movement in the German First Impulse. Now, for movement purposes, they are not restricted by terrain, and basically they're treated the same as mountain units. If they're eliminated, they can't be replaced. Now, headquarter units can only move in the second impulse, and unlike other units, they may use their full movement factor, and they're not affected by the weather. However, they can't use rail movement, and they are restricted by terrain, and they have to stop in woods, mountains, or swamps. The German Stuka counter stimulates the effects of the German Blitzkrieg, and Stukas are available to assist ground attacks. So one Stuka can be added to combat to shift the odds 3 columns to the right, thus a 2-to-1 attack becomes a 5-to-1 attack. However, the combat has to take place within 8 hexes of a German headquarters, and only one Stuka can be operated from each headquarters. Also, Stukas can only be used during the first impulse of each turn. Now, due to weather restrictions, Stukas are not available during snow turns. Russian workers are a little bit different. The number on each worker is a combat factor and a replacement value. Workers do, however, have a zone of control, and they attack and defend the same as normal combat units. Unlike combat units, they can't move, and if they're forced to retreat, they're eliminated, and they cannot be replaced. And only a single worker unit is allowed in each city unless a worker unit occupies all friendly cities. In the game, Russian paratroopers are held off the map until they're used, and during snow turns only, in the first Russian impulse only, one or more of the paratroop units may be placed on the map, anywhere within 8 hexes of the Stavka 8 headquarters. And they can't be placed in a woods hex, a mountain hex, or an enemy zone of control. And paratroop units may not move during the impulse they're placed on the map, and once they're placed, they remain on the map until they're eliminated. They can also never be replaced. Now, the Russian player has 3 partisan counters, which are used to cut railways and inhibit Axis movement and supply. And they can be placed in Russia either in an Axis-controlled city or on an Axis-controlled rail hex that's between 2 Axis-controlled cities. They can't be placed in the zone of control of an Axis unit, nor within 5 hexes of an SS unit. Each partisan counter has a zone of control only in the hex that it occupies. And units doing rail movement may not enter this zone of control, and units moving normally treat it just like a normal zone of control. They have to stop upon entering it, and they can't retreat into it. And this zone of control doesn't count for controlling cities. Now, partisans can't be permanently eliminated, and at the end of their movement portion of each Axis impulse, all partisans in Axis zones of control or within 5 hexes of an SS unit are removed from the board. And at the end of each Russian second impulse, all the partisan counters currently on the game can again be placed anywhere in Russia. Now, at the end of each game turn, you check for the surrender of Axis allied countries. Hungary surrenders if 5 or more Russian units are in Hungary. Romania surrenders if Bucharest has been captured. And Finland surrenders if Helsinki has been captured. Now, if an Axis allied country surrenders, you remove all the corresponding units of that nationality, and all future reinforcements and replacements are simply ignored. Now, to win, the German player has to occupy or control every city on the map, or occupy Moscow and destroy Stalin. And the Russians win by controlling or occupying every city on the map, or by occupying Berlin and destroying Hitler.
Hey everybody, this week's game is going to be the Russian campaign, and I've got it all set up here. I think I've got all the units in. I think I'm going to move this guy up here. I think I'll move him forward 1, but let's see. I've got so the Soviets have been set up in their military districts, and then they've been set up back in the cities a little bit, down in Leningrad. I've got the Finnish units up here against the Soviets at Leningrad. I've got Army Group North here, Army Group Center here, Army Group Center here, Army Group South here. That's the Romanian guys. And I think I'm ready to go. So let me pop in a little bit so we can see a little better. I was worried about everybody being able to see these. The Germans get to go first. And I always put a little sequence of play thing here. This always helps me when I'm playing, especially when I'm showing the game off. So I use this so I don't miss any steps, because that's easy to do. And the important thing to do is follow this movement allowance table. This really governs your movement because you have those 2 different impulses, a first impulse and a second impulse. And it's going to determine how far units can move. So this is an easy one because the weather is, it's May, June. I guess I should put my timer up here. There we go. There's my timer. And it's May, June, 1941. And so May, June's always clear. So I don't even need to roll for the weather. So we're good there. Let's see, anything else about movement? First impulse, all units have full movement. So don't really have anything that's going to affect anything here. So we can start. I've nattered enough. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've got to figure out how to get these guys knocked out. Now, I think this is going to be the crucial guy here because I'm going to have to, he's on a river. Actually, not a big deal. I thought that was going to be a bigger deal than it is, but I'm on the river now too, so sucks to be him. Okay. So we're just going to move everybody forward and try to make some breakthroughs here. And I think what I'm going to do is, with these breakthroughs, I think I'm going to try for the Germans to push south. I think Army Group South, I think the way to winning is going to be down through here, knock out some factories so that the Soviets can't replace units quite so fast, and try to make a quick work of them there. This game can go pretty short or it can go pretty long. So, and we're going to move now. That mountain guy, I think he can move normally through there. So we're going to go around and surround. Here I'm going to go 1. There's that guy. And then the Finns. I don't want to, I always forget these flanks. The Balkan and the Baltic are both the ones in the Balkans and the Baltic are the guys I have an easy time forgetting. So the Romanians, I got to remember them. Okay. I think that's it. I think everybody's moved. So this guy I'm going to move. I don't want to, let's look at our movement chart. Our combat chart, sorry. 1-to-1 odds. See, if I rolled a 1, if I moved here, I'd be forced to attack. And if I did that, I'd have that A1. I'd have a 1/3 chance of losing this guy. So I don't really think I want to do that quite yet. I could come back here and protect the flank. I guess I'll do that. So let's just make a run through and see if everybody's moved that I want to move. Yep. Okay. Now, Stukas. It's a clear turn, 1941, so I have 3 Stukas. Let's place those guys. And north, I'm going to attack. I think I'm going to attack here with my Stuka. That reason being is that's going to open up an area, and I kind of want to do that. Center. I'm trying to think. This guy's got. Maybe here. I'm looking for kind of weak areas that I can, again, try to exploit. And south, I'll definitely move right in there. So everybody's moved close enough. Okay, now this game doesn't have advance after combat, so you don't have to worry about trying to surround anybody through combat. Through, if you were to cause retreats. It's kind of weird that they have such big retreat rules, but there's no advance after combat. It feels like they missed something on an afterthought. But anyway, enough of me nattering. Okay, this guy's got 5, but he's in the city, so he's at 10. And then 11. So 1-to-1 odds against Leningrad. So we have a little Finno-Russian war going on. And I'm going to roll. And I get a 6 at 1-to-1. Oh, defender retreat. So the Finns have already knocked them out of Leningrad. And actually, when they knock them out, the worker gets removed. So, and a DR is 2 hexes. So we'll move him here. That's what I want. And this is actually a pretty important, because again, keeping those workers suppressed is kind of crucial to the Germans' plan. Okay, 15 to 9. So 1-to-1 odds, but then it's going to be 3-to-1 with a 3 is an exchange. Ouch. Okay, so we'll send him back to the airfield. So 9. I basically lost both of these guys. So there's a lot of exchanges. You need 7+ odds to avoid the exchange, but they hurt. Okay, here again, I think I'm going to try to hit these guys as hard as I can. I'm going to use these 3 and these 3. So I've got 11 and 9 is 20 to 7. So 2-to-1 odds. And this guy's on a river, but so is this guy. So that doesn't change anything. So we go 2-to-1 with a 3 is a C. Okay, and C's contact. No loss, no retreats. I hate C's. They're the worst because they just delay everything. Okay. Here, I think I'm going to attack. Oh, he's on a river, so he's at 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 10, 13, 26, and then 1-to-2 odds. 1-to-2 with the 2 is an attacker 1. They're going to go back 1-to-2 hexes. I'll just move back the 1 hex, and they do lose 1, so 2 replacement pool. Okay, down here I've got a this guy's sitting at 5, 6. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the 7 and the 6, 13, and that's going to be 18. Well, I'm going to try to get a confirmed kill on this. So we're going to go 10 and 23 to 5 is going to be 4-to-1 odds, plus 2 is 6-to-1 odds with a 5, and that's a defender eliminated. Okay. Just want to make sure I get rid of this guy. Okay. Here I've got 2 and 9 is 11 to 5. 2-to-1 odds. Now the forest isn't going to make any difference. It's only going to make a difference on retreats. It basically nullifies retreats. So 2-to-1 with a 4. An exchange. Okay, so get rid of the Italian guys. And I'll get rid of this guy. And then these 2. So yeah, it's really up to the Germans to see how much blood they're gonna lose. They're gonna run them over, but whether they're gonna survive it or not's the other thing. Okay, 13 and 12 is 25, so 5-to-1 odds with a 4 is a defender eliminated. And then here I've got a 16 to 8, 2-to-1 odds with a 6. Defender goes back 1 and loses 1. So they're going to lose him and go back 1. Okay, and then down here, 15 and 26, 31 to 10. So 3-to-1, and then plus 2 for the Stuka. That's going to be, whoops, I just gave myself another Stuka. Ah! Send him to airfield, and then these guys. Oh, there. I just lost it there. It was, do that again. 10, 15, 20, 26. This is going to be 3-to-1 plus 2 is 5-to-1. Ah! 5-1 with a 5. I'm losing it. As I get older, it gets harder to remember stuff too. I don't know if that's happening to anybody else out there, but it just feels like I'm always forgetting stuff. And I'm sure these videos are really showing it. Okay, here I've got a 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 7 is 18 to 2, but this is a 4 because he's on a river. So 4-1 odds with a 1 is a C, so nothing there. Okay, and that ends first impulse. So SOP for the second impulse, German second impulse, check for reinforcements, withdrawals, etc. Let's check our reinforcements here. I didn't show you guys this. There's no reinforcements coming through till July, so first impulse of next turn. And remember that first impulse will be 1 month, and then second impulse will be another. So in this case, first impulse is May, second impulse is June. That's something, the rules aren't completely clear on that. You kind of have to figure it out as you're playing, but okay. Impulse move, checks for reinforcements, move, no rail. Okay, I'm not using any rail anywhere. Anyway, and then place the rail heads after we move. So, and when you check movement, you're going to see this is going to be, it's clear weather. Second impulse is going to be the, let's get this over a little bit. My mic's in the way. On a second impulse, all of your German armor are going to be able to move 4. All of your, everybody else that's German is going to move 2. Axis armor can move 2. And any other Axis units, Axis infantry, cav, mountains can't move at all. So basically we can at least move 2 with just about everybody except those little Axis units. He's in a zone of control. He's in a zone of control. Now I do have an opening here, which is kind of nice. Let's go ahead and I can go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be envelop, envelop, envelop. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think those are both, yeah, those are both armor. Okay. 2, and then this is where I'm going to split everybody. The other thing to remember is these are not, railroads are not roads. So basically, once he goes here, he's going to have to stop movement, which I guess he can. And then down here, he can move 2. Okay, the Finns, I don't think there's anything. Only thing I'm in a defensive position here. I think I will send this 3 here to defend. Okay. I mean, the Russians can try to get it back, but they're going to have to pay. Which eventually they'll want to, because they can, when they get more workers coming in. Okay, down here, nothing much I can do. These guys are going to stay. These guys are going to stay. So, okay, let's work our way across here. I've got, oh, I need to put my rail heads in. I guess that's the other thing I need to do. They say at the end of the movement. I'm going to wait. Actually, I'm going to wait until I'm done combat, and then we'll put the rail heads in. That's a little out of turn, but I don't think that's going to make a big difference. Let's start with trying to get these guys. So I've got a... oh, I should have moved in here, because that would have kept him. He's on the river, so, and I'm not, so that's going to double him. That changes things a little bit. 13 and 9 is 22. 2, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 22 to 26. 1 to 2 odds with a 6. Well, 1 to 2 with the 6 is an exchange. Okay, so they basically lose 5, 13, and then I've got to lose 13 as the Germans. Okay. And again, because of the way the Germans have replacements, the exchanges hurt them a lot more. So 16 and 27 to 7. 2 to 1 odds with the 3 is a C. So nothing there. Okay. Yes, I made a major mistake not covering that river. That hurt. I should, and even a knocking the guy back would have been better than the exchange. So 16 and 16 to 6. Let's see. I'm going to add that 3 up here to this attack to make it 18 to give me 3 to 1 odds. 3 to 1 with a 2 is a C. Okay, and then down here, I'm going to do my 5 and 7 is 12 and 11. 12 and 11 is 23 and 5 is 28. But this guy's in a town. It's always hard to remember that he's in a town. 28 to, where are you at? 16. So 1 to 1 odds. 1 to 1 with a 5 is another exchange. Okay, so 3, 6, 7, 8. I'm losing 8. I'm going to keep my mountain guy. Okay. And then down here, don't want to forget these guys. 7 and 18 to 4. 4 to 1 with a 5 is a defender 1, so this is going to knock him out. Okay, so he's gone. And I think that's going to be it. Let's see, anybody else? I'm just making sure, and then we're going to check our SOP. I'm going to place my railheads. I want to do that. I do think another weakness to this game is the rail rules. They're not. I don't feel like they're real necessarily easy to figure out. I think they get a little bit wonky, but so we're just I'm gonna try to play at least as intended, I guess, is the way I like to think of it. I think this is what they mean when they have the rail. Maybe they're just, I guess I'm feeling like they're not communicating the rail rules very well. Like I go back 1. I pull them back 1 because you can't really move into a zone of control anyway, so I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to give my... I'm just going to put a little control marker in here for all the cities. Yeah, I think that's they don't communicate the rail rules and the supply rules very well, and the partisan rules. Those are the 3 things in this game I have a hard time kind of wrapping my head around. So when you start to see partisans coming, it's a head scratcher, and the rules are pretty brief for the partisan rules. So do they cut the lines? You got that, but how does that affect supply and things like that? I'm not sure. And they don't give any examples, so that's kind of problematic. But okay, this is in a zone of control. I'm not going to say it's controlled yet. And supply is not going to make a big difference until, because you have 8 hexes. That's a long way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. That's tremendous distance. Like I say, the supply rules are, I feel like they didn't play test them or something. I'm not sure. I say all this, but don't get me wrong. I think this is a really, really good game, but I just think those are kind of wonky. Okay, I think I've got all the German turn done here. We're going to go to the Russian turn. And now I think on the first turn, I didn't see anything in the rules that say you can't do this I think you can bring in your replacements. So we've got to figure out how many replacements we got. Now we lost 2 workers here, and I've got 3 here. Let's just work our way across. Okay, down here. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I've got 9 workers. Let's see, is there a note? Oops. 9 workers. Maybe I'll try to keep track of workers down here. Okay. So the Russians get to go. Oh, first of all, replacements. That's what I say. So I get 9 workers. I have 9 replacements. Let's move this down. Now I can only get 1 armor. We're going to go a 5, 2, and 2. There's 9. And they can come in any city where there are a worker. So I'm going to bring these guys in. I think Kiev's got a guy. I just really don't want the guy coming up on a rail and creating a lot of havoc. So we're going to put Stalino in here, and my other guy in Kiev is going to come in here, and I think he can move out. I'm not sure if the rules address this with the stacking limitations, but I think I can move him out during movement, and that's not going to cause stacking issues. Okay. And Russians' first impulse, let's check our impulse chart, or movement chart. Okay, so first impulse, full movement for everybody, and then in the second impulse, the Russians will be able to move any armor, but they won't be able to move any sort of infantry. And they can move guard units. We don't have a guard until later. So basically all I can do for the Russians is move back. I could try to retake Leningrad. I do think I'll move here. I'm not sure whether to leave Leningrad and just concentrate somewhere else or not. I think I'll just leave it. I don't think there's going to be, unless I can break through there. Although this river here, I think, is going to be a pretty strongly defensive. So we'll just move there. Okay, up here, I think now I can move, rail movement, I can move 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think I'll keep those guys there just in case he tries to sneak around. Okay, Odessa I'll stick with. Here I think I'll move down 1. Well, he can move in. That's a pretty good place to be. Okay. So I've got to make attacks, and this is where I'm going to get whacked pretty hard. I think we'll go 6 to 16 and 26, 31, 1 to 5 odds. And we're going to roll with a 2. 1 to 5 is an attacker eliminated, so he's gone. Yeah, unfortunately, these guys are they're pretty much gone. I think this guy's going to be a goner too. He's got 7 to 16, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1 to 5 odds. With a 1, it's an attacker eliminated. So, okay. Everybody else is in. Oh, and then this guy up against the Finns is going to be doing a 9 to 4. Wait, 9 to 10. 1 to 2 odds with a 1. Attacker eliminated. Okay, that wasn't good for the. Yeah, those sticky zones of control and the automatic where you have to attack are rough on the. They can hold up really well against the Germans when they're attacking, but when they're on the defense, or when they're attacking back, I guess, the counterattack, they get wiped out. So, okay, that's pretty much going to be it for the Russians. Russians don't have much to do but fall back and defend. That's about all they can do for the first 5 or 6 turns of the game. Okay, Partisans we don't have to worry about. Check all units for supply. I didn't do that the first time, but I think all the Germans were in supply. Okay, and that's it. So we go to the second Russian movement, and like I said, the only thing they're going to be able to move is any armor, which I guess they could move this guy, but he's not going to need to. Everybody's clear over here. This guy could move, but again, I think the armor's going to stay put here. Hopefully the Finns don't break out. That's going to be wild if they do. If the Finns win the war, that would be insane. Okay, I think that's going to be it for movement. I didn't move my movement here. Axis 2, Soviet first and Soviet second impulse. And that would be the end of the first turn. Okay, back with turn 2 here. So it's July, August of 41. First thing, let's go through our SOP. Come back here. SOP is to check the weather. We don't have to worry about that though because July, August is clear. So nothing big there. We can then go ahead and bring in possible German replacements. Let's see what we got for July. Okay, I've got these guys coming in down here at the bottom. Gotta bring him in Berlin. And then I got a Hungarian unit here. So we'll put him here and move him into Hungary there. Okay, I'm going to pull out just a little bit here. Okay. Now as I spread out more, that's going to leave the railways open. So I think I want to keep Hitler protected. So that's going to be one thing I'm going to do. Now, these guys get an automatic free railroad action during the first impulse. Now, the second impulse don't seem to get that. So not sure why that rule's the way it is, but okay. Anything else? Let's check anything else. We can move, and then we can place our Stukas. Okay, so now up here, I think north looks like it's going to be doing pretty good. Let's try to take Riga. 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Minsk. I'm not going to mince words. I think I can go 1, 2. Yeah, I can move in here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got Minsk surrounded. Okay, this is a crazy thing. Doesn't make much sense, but we can actually. It'd be easier here if we went here. We'd be stuck. But I can go 1, 2, 3, and go this way. It's gamey, but it works. Okay. Okay. I'm going to take, this guy is on a railway, and I've got 6 units I can move by railway. And he's going to move up here. I say that. He's going to move up here. I think I can do that, yeah. And that guy will move up here. Okay, down here things get a little trickier. One, two, three, 4. Okay. Okay, here's my 4th railway. And now this guy could move here and he'd go 1, 2. Here he could move 1, 2. He can't go much further there. Also, I realized I've got Brest completely open. So we're going to send him here. Yeah, got to watch all these railways to make sure that they are kept open. Here I'm gonna, oh man, I should have ended him on a, if you were thinking you'd end these turns previously on the railway hex so you could move on the railways at the time, but otherwise, like I said, this isn't a highway. You can't really, you gotta go 1, 2, and then this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on a second. We'll move him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going to end up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see. Can't move much. Oh, I can go here and here and here. Okay. Now I can place my Stukas. This first Stuka has to be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, not using my Stuka. Actually, I don't think you have to move. You can, I think the rules say your Stukas, you can come from any headquarter. I don't remember. Oh yeah, we'll place south here. I'm going to place center here. Yeah, just that's, and then north it's going to be up here. I'll just stay with the Stukas have to be attached to their particular headquarter in order to fly. I think that's not in the rules, but that's okay. Okay. Let's start up here with, we have 8 and 16, 21 to 3, so 7 to 1 odds. And we're going to roll a 6 DS, so he's completely, whoops, he doesn't go to the replacement pool. Doesn't really matter now, but I think it was this guy here. I think it was this 3 to 5. We'll just take this 1, 3 to 5, and we'll put him in the POW pile.
It won't matter now, but as you get closer to the end of the game with the Russians, or you get like in 43, 44, they really start. This could make a little bit of a difference. So, 16 to 16, 20, 27 to 6. 4 to 1 odds with a 3. 4 to 1 with a 3 is a defender retreat. So he's not going anywhere. So, and we can send him back to his airfield. Okay, over here we have a 6, 18, 28 to 12. So 2 to 1 odds. Oh, and then we need a shift. I forgot about the shift. 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. 4 to 1 with a 4 is a defender retreat, so he's gone. And okay, over here, 15 to 2, 7 to 1 odds with a 2. Defender is going to be replaced. And then here I've got 11 and 21, 24 to 3. So that's 8 to 1, 9 to 1. Then that would be 10 to 1. And actually, that could have been an overrun, but I'll just stick with that it's a 10 to 1 with a 3 is a defender eliminated. Yeah, I could have overrun him with enough people, but everybody was pretty, everybody moved to the fullness of their abilities there, so. Okay. 11 and 7 is 18 to 3. 6 to 1 with a 5. Defender eliminated. Okay, and that ends the first impulse. Okay, go to second impulse. Second impulse is August. German second and check for reinforcements. Let's do that. And yeah, I do get these guys. I got another Romanian guy. I should have moved him down here first. Oh, I forgot to move my guys from Berlin. Okay. And that was a free move by rail, so mistake on the Germans' part. But let's move them now. Now, man, I don't know. This is kind of a weird. So if you count it, then presents an interesting situation. Is if I counted this hex as a mountain hex, he would have to stop there. So it would be better to come in from Berlin. 1, 2, 3, 4. And actually, they're coming in on first turn, so they can only go 2. And he could come in 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to keep this reserve down here to protect Hitler. So he's going to keep his SS with him. Okay. I can move my headquarters. 1, 2, 3. And headquarters also have to watch their terrain effects. Okay. But they can move their full 7, even though this is second impulse. Hopefully, you know, if you guys see stuff where, I mean, I've played this is the 3rd edition version. I've also played several years the Compass Games version that came out after that, which is fine too. I don't really have a strong preference either way, but sometimes I may mix up the rules. There are some minor rules changes. Although a lot of folks online feel that even the minor rules changes that Compass made changed the game radically. I don't know. I think In some ways, they cleared up some of the rules that were kind of problematic, but... Okay, this guy. I think we'll go here. Actually, we're going to go here. And here. Now they can only move 2. This guy can come up here. Okay. Now we can... Nope, he can't move. And... Okay, I think we've got everybody moved here. Let's attack Odessa here. Let's see, 4, 11 to 5. So that's going to be 11. 1-to-1 odds. 1-to-1 with the 6. Well, that was fortuitous. Defender retreat. So that's going to eliminate him. Over here, might as well go ahead and try to get Kyiv. Again, that takes out 2 workers, which would be crucial. Only problem is I moved this guy. These guys would only be able to move here. So 7 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 16. 1 to 3 odds. Let's hold back. We'll just hold back. So I'm going to take that move back because I forgot these guys could only move 2, and I was looking at that stack. Is this guy? Oh, he's stacked here, so he can only go 1, 2. Okay. Fix that. And this guy didn't move. Oh, he's not moving because that's right. He's defending. Okay. Anybody else can fight? Nope. Okay. I think I got everybody moved correctly there. I do have takebacks when I'm doing this. You wouldn't want to do that in real play, but since I'm just here by myself, I don't want to make it look like there's too many errors. Like I say, I'm always amazed at that guy that always says, in turn 15, you did this at this odds, and it was this. And I'm always kind of thankful that they're still watching. So anyway, to you guys out there seeing this stuff and coming and going, and we're 3/4 of the way through the game. If you're still with me on this, I'm like, wow, thanks, guys. I'm not. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It kind of makes me chuckle because I'm like, yep, wow. Okay. Not much else I can do here. Place the railheads. I'm going to go ahead and place my railheads. Riga, let's see, I've gone up to Riga. So we've got a railhead here. I'm going to say there's a railhead. I know there's one here. And then here. And here. Actually, everything through Helsinki is clear, so we're going to just say this is here. Trying to kind of create a zone. That's how I kind of try to think of this. This guy's still here. This guy's moved forward to here. And I'm going to say this is all under control. Okay. Okay, now then, give me some control markers. For friendly cities.
Yeah, I think, yeah, there's other games that do the city thing just a little bit better. Even like Panzer Group Guderian, I think, does a better job with the cities. Like, I don't know, does this one a controlled city, Tallinn? Do you have to go driving through it to make it controlled, or would you just generally? I'm going to say that generally, if the front moves past it, then it's controlled. I guess you could argue that there would be folks still holding out in those cities, but I don't know. Okay, I think that's it. Let's check our SOP again. German second impulse, check all German units for supply. Okay. These guys can all go through. These guys can go through. Yeah, generally, you're going to be out of supply if you're surrounded. So these guys are all checked, and those guys are checked. So yeah, I think everybody's good. Okay. Remove partisans, and it's now the Russian player's turn. So we go to Soviet first impulse, and we got to figure out, we got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10. I was off by 1. So I shorted the Soviets 1 unit last turn. Let's put that in the notes section. This should be 10 workers. Make sure that's right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, maybe I counted wrong. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is 9. I was right. And all you folks lately that have joined the channel, thanks for everything. I really appreciate that. That's really nice. I'm not really here to like monetize or anything, but it is nice to have people feel like people are watching what you're doing. It's kind of a cool feeling. Actually, it's a little overwhelming. You're like, oh man, is this right? So, okay, bringing in our replacements. Let's start with those guys. I've got 9 units of replacements. I want these big units. I think 5. Only problem is okay, there's 2 and 2. It's finding small enough units. Now, where do I bring them in at? That's the... here I've got... Well... I can bring them in here. You can bring them in any city. So I'm going to do that. But they're going to have to move by rail. And then reinforcements. For July, I've got this guy coming in at Moscow. Where's Moscow? Come on, Moscow, where are you? Okay, here's Moscow. And then this guy's coming in from the east, so probably want to bring him in. Doesn't really matter because of the rail thing, so. Okay, there, I think I brought everybody in for the Soviets. It's not too much, but it's going to have to do. Okay, next, we're going to make our movements. This guy's about to be surrounded. So if we're going to surround him, I'm going to beef him up. I'm going to beef this guy up here. Hold on, let me see here. I'm going to stay put there. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm not going. That's not going to use a rail movement. I've got 5 rail movements, so there's 1 rail movement. Here's 2 rail movements. Here's 3 rail movements. I've got 1 more. This guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to rail move this guy down to Kiev. Now I've still got to move out some guys. 5. Actually, I'm going to move this 5 here. And here, I think we'll stay put there. And we're going to stay put there. I'm going to be surrounded, but at least I think yeah, I can't really. We're going to move here, and then I'm going to move this guy here. I'll give up Vitebsk. I think that's going to be the thing to do. I almost thought of rail movement down to here, but that would take too. Nah, he can't move the second turn, so nothing there that I can do. Okay, that's it for turn. Like I say, Soviets don't have a lot to do in their turns. July, August, 2nd Soviet impulse, no replacements, and I get another guy in Moscow and Kursk. So here's my Moscow guy and Kursk down here. Kursk is going to stay put. Now this adds the question is, can you move you can move these up to their full unit on a second impulse, even if they're not capable of moving, if that makes any sense. What I'm saying is, if you look at your second impulse, clear weather, Russian infantry can't go, but they can if they're being brought into the game. Otherwise, you're going to have a stacking issue here. So we're going to move this guy to Tula. Nope, I can't. Nope. He can't move because he's in on the first impulse. This guy's going to have to move 1, 2, 3 to Tula. There we go. And that's going to be it. No other issues. Again, I think that's going to be it for the turn. So we'll stop there for turn 2. Okay, turn 3 is the September-October 1941 turn. And there's a potential that things could be a little different. Let's go with our weather. So we're going to roll a 6, and we get a 6. So it's a mud turn. So things are turning for the Germans, literally. So during a mud turn, we're going to check movement. Everybody gets to move 2 during the first movement. So we'll do that. And then nobody can move in the second movement. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the second impulse. Nobody's going to be able to move. So we can still do rail movement. And we need to check who's coming in. So September, I've got these guys coming in. And a Hungarian unit coming in. Okay, I guess he can come in anywhere in Hungary, so we're going to put him here. Okay, now these guys can have automatic rail movement. I need to remember that automatic rail movement. So we're going to move them to the front. Let's do anything else I'm missing. I just check my SOP to see if I'm missing anything. We did our reinforcements. We can move. Okay. And I think we'll go... Actually, let's see how far this guy can go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He could move there. Can't move again this next... Oh, wait, hold on. They can only move 4, right? Derp. No, they can only move 2. Everybody can move 2. And this guy's going to rail move here. So that's 2 that have moved by rail.
Okay, that guy's staying place. Okay, moving on to the board from rail. I'm going to move this guy here. I just feel a little bit, well, hold on. This is that automatic rail move, so I can move here. And I'm going to move him and him up there too. Actually, that'll count as one of my rails. Okay. Yeah, the only way I'm making any progress in this game is 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So they're slogging through the mud. These three guys can actually move rails, so we're going to find out where I can stick these guys. There's 3, 4, and then these two are 5, 6. Can't move in. There's a zone of control there. I think I'm going to move him in here. I think I could move him here. So both of these two are going to take the rails. They're taking the A train. And then that's, oh, they have to stop there. No, wait, he came in, so he's on rail movement, and he'll move here. That's the automatic rail movement. Okay, I think everybody's moved. We're going to stay put there. And these guys are moving forward, but not very far. Okay. Into turn, or we got one combat here. Going after Kyiv again, and it's going to be a 5, 10, 13, and 14 is 25 to 22. So 1-to-1 odds. Let's see. This is a gamble. Oh, Stukas. Do Stukas get to go in the mud? They don't get to go in snow, but they do get to go in mud. How many Stukas do I get? Let me check my Stuka table. I forgot all about those guys. Stukas, mud. I get 1. And that's going to be enough, I think, if he's within 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So I can use my Stuka. I forgot about him. I get 1 Stuka. Okay, let's do this again. 22. And then I have 14. I think I had 25. 14 and 13. Wait, 14, 27. So 27, 54 to 11, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1 odds. Okay, so with the Stukas, yeah, that made a big difference. We roll 6-to-1 with a 4, and it's defender eliminated. Okay. Send him back to his airfield. Replacement, and the worker gets to go to, well, POW. Okay, and that's going to reduce my, I gotta make sure, but 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're going to put a note in that the workers are now 7 workers. Okay, save it, and then that's going to be the end of the first impulse. We go to second impulse, check our reinforcements. September, nothing in October. And, oh, I forgot to move this guy. Yeah, he can move his too. Actually, he can rail in. He could have railed. I'm going to put him there because he could rail in. Okay, now then, these guys get to go their full 7. I think they don't. I think, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll stay back here. Okay, and then center is going to move up here, and north is going to move here with these guys. Okay, that'll at least, then I could get Stukas in if I need to. Let's see, anything else down here? I think we're done. Now we can move our railheads, and we're going to move a railhead here, 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 and we'll clone this guy and move it here. Okay, and then some, let's clone a, we'll clone this guy. Did I get any cities? Yeah, I did. Vitebsk. Vitebsk, that's kind of hard for me to say. Okay, anybody else? So yeah, the mud ground down the things a little bit. Okay, and that would be Axis second impulse. We now move to Soviet first impulse. So we start with bringing on our replacements. And like I say, we have 7 workers, so 7 replacements. Yeah, I think this is about the point where things look the most grim for the Soviets. Things will improve rapidly now. Okay. Whoop. Bring these guys on the board, and I think we're going to try to bring them where there's a worker. Bring them on in Stelano here. And they're going to get a rail in, and then September I get a ton in Moscow. Whoops. Okay, I got October guys in there, so the tide has turned. And then off the east side of the map, I'll put these guys in Gorky. I don't think the Russians are going to take Finland. Last time I played, they did. Okay. And then I get a partisan. I don't know how to deal with these partisan guys. We'll just put them here. Okay, those are in. Those are in. Now I can do my movement. And let's check Russian movement here real quick. Everybody gets to move 2. And then nobody will move during the second turn, so no second impulse. Okay. First of all, I think I'm going to try to get a little defensive perimeter around Moscow. So we're going to move 2, 2, 2, and 2, and then I'll leave those guys there. I think I'll at least slow the Germans down here. If I could slow them down a turn, that's good. Here, I'm going to rail to a point, and I wish this crossed a river here. I'm going to rail to a point here and here. Okay, and I think that's about all I'm going to be able to to do. Oh, all these guys. And they all can rail. So I can knock these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and move this Moscow guy here, because I'm going to be able to bring in some reinforcements here. And I'm going to bring in a reinforcement 1 and 2. Actually, he's going to go here. And I think I'll bring in 1 here. I want to leave Moscow. That ought to be enough to... Even with a Stuka firing down, ought to be good. Okay, now... let's move a rail guy here. And I can move 1 here. Any guys down here, here? Everybody's got a couple at least. Here and here, and then I think you place partisans. Is there any place where I can... I can place a partisan right there. Okay, and then that would cut him off. Now, I don't know if he can attack at half strength or not. I don't know. Okay. And I think that's going to be the end. Let's see, that's first impulse. Okay, then we go to second impulse. And I do bring in quite a few guys here. Oh, my first guard units are coming in. And I'm going to move this guy here. I'm going to leave my paratroopers here. I'm going to save them for later. And then move... Oh, guards can't move by rail. They can just move the 2. That's right. Because it's second impulse. Again, I think they can move, at least move. There too. I don't know if this is really, I don't remember the rules how they address this, but I think at least they can make a move during the second impulse. They should be allowed to do that. I don't think they should just allow to sit there. Okay. Down here, and here, and here. And I think that's going to be the end. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Nope, that's it. So we can move to turn November, December now. Checking the weather. It's now going to be November, December. We're going to roll, and we get a 2. So it's going to be a light mud roll. And okay, so we're at light mud. Let's check our German reinforcements. November, we have this guy coming in. And that's it. Okay. Everybody can move 2. Okay, and then over here, oh, I still can do rail move. We're going to move in here. And that was 3 units by rail. We'll go up here by rail. There's 3, 4, 5. And I'll move my 6th unit by rail here. Okay, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Who am I missing? Okay, and this guy's got his automatic rail. Where do I want? I want to put him. He's going to travel clear over here. Now this guy would not. Well, okay. And then this guy's going to make his 2. And I'm going to say he is, well, he could move across here and then down. So he's still in supply. I think everybody else has moved. Oh, okay. He can move his 1. Going to keep in place there. We're just going to move that up here just to clear things up a little bit. And there's a rail. Okay, everybody is in place. I don't need this guy anymore. He needs to be here. It's not really a part of my turn to do rail movement, but okay. And that's the end of that. Now, Stukas, I think I have 1 Stukas still. And he can go 8. Oh, I could do a Stuka here, or I could do a Stuka center. Where's center? Oh, that is center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he could either attack with Stuka here or attack with Stuka here. I think I'll do it here. I think I'll put my center Stuka here. And I think that's going to be it. Okay, now we can make our attacks. Let me just run through it all. So I've got this one here, and that's going to be it. So let's do here. We've got 12 to 16. So 1 to 2, and it's going to come out to be 1 to 1 odds. And let's see our combat table. And we roll a 4. No, it's going to be 2 to 1. 2 to 1 with a 4 is an exchange. Okay, so he loses 8. And then he loses 8. And then this guy goes back to his airfield. Okay, over here, I've got a 5, 10, 13, and 12, 25, 26, 31, to 8, or no, to 4. 7 to 1. It should be, I think, 7 to 1. 7 to 1 with a 5 is a defender is sent to the POW camp. Okay. Oh, and then here I've got a 6 to, I should have used my Stuka here. 6 to 20. 1 to 4 with a 4. Attacker retreats. We'll go back 1. Okay, that was lucky. I should have used my Stuka there just to make sure I didn't get creamed. Okay, and that's the end of move. And we go to the December impulse. Check, see what the Germans have coming in. December, they get this guy. And I'll go ahead and move him as 2. That's all the further he can go. No, wait, he can't move. Well, yeah, I said
I said they could move, so... And I think that's going to be it. Headquarters can move. SOP, German's first or German second impulse. Check for reinforcements. Done. Move. Headquarters can move and place railheads. And since it's a light mud turn, oh, it's light mud. I forgot they could move 4. I treated it as heavy mud. Let's go back to. I guess everybody can move 2. That's a... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to move him here. Actually, I'm going to stack with these guys. And everybody else has to stay put. Okay. Hopefully that worked. Let's go. 16 and 6 is going to be 22 to 20, 1-to-1 odds with a 4. Is it nothing? Okay, and then over here I've got a 14 to 20, 1-to-2 with a 2. Attacker back 1, and he loses 1. Okay, and that would end the turn. Oh, it's South Headquarters. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay. No, I'm going to stay in Kyiv. Okay. Now then, it's light mud. I got to remember it's light mud and not mud. I was playing as if it were mud, but it's light mud. And again, I think in the Compass version, the weather rolls, when you get a weather roll, if you get like mud, then the next turn you add +1 and everything. So, okay. But it's not a snow turn, so that's, at least for the Germans, that's an advantage. And we're going to go first of all with our replacements, and we have 7 workers. And we can bring those in. Again, I think I want to keep them coming in over here at Kharkov. 3. And then for our first... oh gosh, we got a ton of guys coming in. November. These are Moscow. And then November. And then 1. I'm going to bring him up into... Archangel. Okay. Now we get to move. This guy, guard unit's going to come to Archangel. I'm going to push him there by rail. These guys can all move by rail. Let's get our front guys moving first. This guy can't move out. Let's remove. I gotta check. Light mud move is 4.
going to move this guy here, and I'm going to kind of, I think I'm going to use him as a sacrifice to at least keep this guy alive. Yeah, this is the question. Is the hard part is where do I defend with these guys? Move him by 4. Okay, those guys have all moved. Ooh, he can make a rail move. I'm going to move him by rail here. So that's my 2 by rail. There's his 2. He can move up to 3. 3, okay. And this is another, I'm going to put this guy back up here with the other. Oops. I think this is going to be by rail. And okay, everybody's there. I think I've used all my rail movement up at this point. Now, oh, these guys. Okay, yeah. Let's see. They can go 4. Move this guy by rail here, and I'm going to move this guy by rail over to Stalingrad. Actually, I'm going to, and then this guy by rail to Rostov. Again, if anybody slips through, I want to be able to hold those cities. I always play these games and forget to keep Stalingrad guarded, and then somehow German units will move in by rail and create havoc. Okay, there's 1. And I can make my second army there. And then this guy, I've got 1 guy left to move. Where am I going to move him? I'm going to move him down here. There. Okay, so they've been all the rail movements, I think all the regular movements that I want to do. And everybody's moved. Now I get to make my attacks. And so we're going to see 4, 8, 10 to 16, 1 to 2 odds with a 5. Is a C, okay? And then here I've got 5, 10 to 6, 1 to 1 odds with a 2. Attacker back 1. Okay, so we gave up on Smolensk. Any other attacks? None I think I can see. Okay, and then we can place partisans. Do I have any partisans? I don't think I have any partisans. Nope, I just that 1. I'll keep him right here. We'll send him there. Let's see, I've done my partisans. And I think that's it. So we go to second impulse. And second impulse, let's check our, we don't get replacements, but we do get 2 more partisans. Okay. Now I thought you did those at the beginning of the first impulse. I'm going to stick the partisans up here. And then let's check our move. We were at light mud. And Russians cannot move. They can move. They can move armor. Don't think I got any armor that can actually move. I do have out here some, but I'll keep them in place. And then, yeah, just don't have enough for fighting back. Okay, then I've got to attack again. 4, 8, 10. 10 to 16, 1 to 2 with a 1. Oof. 1 to 2 with a 1 is going to be an attacker eliminated. So, and I think that's going to end the December turn. So that is the end of 1941. Okay, back again with, let's see where we're at. We're at January, February 1942. So about to get real for the Germans. Also, I noticed that I had down here, I noticed that I put Soviet flags instead of German flags down. So fix that. I need to make just to indicate the towns. So yeah, they all had the little Soviet flag there, but I fixed that. And I'm sure someone will say, hey, why'd you do that? So, okay. Couple things. This is a winter turn. So it's automatically, if I pull it up here, you can see January, February is automatically snow turn. So the Germans don't get any, they don't get any Stukas. Also, they fight, everybody moves at half. I guess I'll pull the move up here. So first impulse, everybody is moving at half movement. Second impulse, the German armor can move at 1. And let's see, Axis units, German infantry can move 1, so they can move 1 at each. Yeah, everybody can move 1, and then the Russians can't do diddly squat. Okay. So, and the other thing is the Germans are at, they have to be fighting from a, they have to be close to a town. They have to be within this hex or 1 hex out to fight at full strength. Otherwise, they're fighting at half strength. So they don't want to make a lot of unnecessary fights. Oh, and then I think it's 3 units. I think we're down to 3 units on rail. So only 3 units can move for rail. Anything else? Russians can move 5 still units by rail. Also, we check here. You can notice there's no reinforcements, not until May. So 2 turns that they're not going to be with reinforcements. So like I say, things are going to change radically for them. Let's go ahead and get started here. Finns are going to stay in place. I guess I can move my 2. Well, this guy can move 2. I think I'll stay in place there. And then I'm going to try to attack here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's all the further I can go here. And then okay. Over here, I think I'll use my rail here. No, hold on. I think I'll use my rail here. Nope. Wait, hold on. I think I'll stay put there. Okay, up here. And then I think I'll take my other rail movement here. And I think that's about all I want to do. Yeah, I think we're good. Down here. Down here. Oh, this guy. Here's my third rail. I'm just going to come up here. There we go. Okay, so that was my three rail movements, I think. I got that. So we just have two combats. So the first one is down here. Now this is within 1 hex, so we get to use full strength, and that's going to be 13 and 29, 35, and this guy's going to be at half, so 36, 37, 38, so 7-to-1 odds. 7-to-1 with a 3 is going to be a defender eliminated. Not a big surprise there. So that guy was never able to get away. Okay, and then down here, these guys are going to be at half, so they're going to be 12, 6, 2, 7, 1 to 2 with a 2. His attacker back 1, so, and they're going to lose 1. Okay, and that's it for the first turn. Or first impulse. I'm sorry, not first turn, first impulse. Okay, we go to standard second impulse. With no reinforcements are coming in, we can move and we can place the railheads. So everybody's going to move. We'll double check here. Everybody's going to move 1. The only guys that can't move are the Axis units. So like these guys here can't move, but everybody else can move 1. I'm going to pull back to the river, and I'm going to pull to the river here and to the river there. Pull here and here. Move my... Got to remember to move these guys. Here, here. Okay, move my railheads ahead. Like I say, I hope I'm getting this right. I feel like I'm not. I feel like this game I've always struggled to play well. Just to remember all the rules, and there's a lot of little rules for all these, like the Romanians and those guys, which gets a little crazy. Don't think I need that guy anymore. I think I can delete him, and I can delete this guy. Whoops. Okay. Partisans go back to the partisan thing. Like I say, I don't think I'm handling these partisans right. So we'll see here, and I got to see if anybody's out of line of supply. I don't think they are. I mean, he's close to a rail that I can lead back, so I think we're good there. Okay, Russians. Start with replacements. In January, I get first impulse. I'm going to get these guys on the east side. And I get 3 workers. Oh, I've got to remember my workers first. My workers are going to be 7 workers. So I get 7 replacements. I'm going to bring these guys down to Moscow. And then I'm going to bring my workers in. Where am I going to bring them? Gorky will have a worker. Astrakhan will have a worker. And I need another. Krasnodar will have a worker. Let's bring this one from Gorky down. And then we're going to bring this third one. Now you can double up once all the towns have workers. So that's going to be 2. Let me count. I'm going to count my workers here real quick. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And there's 4, 5, 6. Nobody there. 7, 8. 9, 10. Let me try that again here. Okay. We'll put them on top. There's my 1. There's 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. 9, 10. 11. 12. Okay, so looks like I've got 12 workers for next turn. Okay. That's a little hard. I think some of the newer vassal versions of this game do keep track of your workers for you, so that's kind of not something to kind of remember. Okay. Now, bringing these guys in. Now, they can move by train. And I think I'm going to move this guy here. I kind of want to keep him from moving against the... And I've actually heard of... one way to beat this game is to come in and is just halt all the Soviets from coming on the east side. Okay. We've got my paratroopers, and I can use those guys to potentially shut guys down. Okay, now let's go. I've got the advantage of being able to 1, 2. And this guy here, and this guy here. 4. Don't want to do that. The thing is, I'd like to try to take advantage of the German units that are going to be in trouble here. And you're looking for weaknesses. I don't think I'm seeing anything yet, so I'm going to move these guys up. Okay, and everybody else is sitting back here guarding. Now, I'm trying to think about placing my partisans and my these guys. Let's see about placing partisans. So okay, I've placed these. So basically all of these units are now out of supply. I'm going to consider them out of supply. And I think I'll place a guy here. Okay, and that's all. Okay, here we've got 7. Now these guys are defending at half. They also defended half, I think. Whoops. Let's go back here. Each trace a line of supply, friendly city, and supply does not trace your lines. Have their combat factors halved. Yeah, so they are halved. Let's go back. Okay, so he's at 7, and you round up, so it's 4, and the Russians are at 7, and 5 is 12, 14 to 4, so 3-to-1 odds with a 4. And defender retreat. Okay, so these guys are here and here. They do get to move back. And then that's it. And then up here, 5 to 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's going to be 5, 7, 1 to 2 odds with a 6. 1 to 2 with a 6 is an exchange. So this guy loses 8 or 5. And this guy loses 5. And the Russians can take those exchanges. Okay, anything over here? Nothing over here. Am I overstacked? No, I'm not. Okay. Now let's check our, we go to our second impulse. And our second impulse, the Russian, so only the Russian armor can go. So I think we'll stay put. There's not really that much armor to use. You know what? Let's try something here. We can. I'm going to go here, here, and here. And I don't know if Cav can go. I'm not sure Cav can go. Let's see. Russian Cav. Nope. Okay. Those guys can go. That's about it. Oh, guard units can go, I think. Let's double check that. Yeah, guard can. I don't have any guard units down here. Oh, and also I got to check my, this is second impulse. Let me pull it up. It was January, February, and so now we're at February impulse. And nobody comes in on February. Okay. So those guys can move, and they're going to take advantage of that, and they get a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're on the, so 7 to 11, so 7 to 6. 1 to 1 odds with a 2. And 1 to 1 with the 2 is an attacker back 1. So, and we can take this guy out to replacement pool. And this guy moves back. Okay, I think that's it for the... I think that's it for the Russians. So we can go now to turn... the March-April turn. Check our weather. And the weather for March-April is going to be... I think they say the first 2 snow turns of the year. So I think that considers... Let's see what it says. All units considered supplied. Unit combat. Let's see. During snow turns of the first winter, Axis units... Okay, I guess we just roll for snow. So let's see what our weather is. We get a 3. March, April with a 3 is light mud. Okay. So, light mud. Let's see how many Stukas we get. Let's go to my Stuka table. Let's see, 1942, light mud, we get 1 Stuka. And reinforcements, nothing in March or April. So, okay, movement. Light mud, everybody gets 4 first turn. And then we'll go 2 and 2. Everybody will get a 2 and 2 second turn, except for our allies, for the Germans. Okay, so everybody gets to move 4 movement points. Okay, up here, okay, trying to surround guys. And okay, I think I got all the guys here. I'm being kind of quiet. Nothing down here, nothing down here. This guy's going to hold off there. And okay. So we can start here. We got a 4, 8, and 16, 17, 18, 19 to 7, 2 to 1 odds. Four, and that's going to be exchange. So 7 points. Okay, Nothing here. And then over here, I've got a 15, 23 to 10, 2 to 1 odds. And we get a 6. At 2 to 1 is a defender 1, so it eliminates these guys. And then over here, I've got 4 to 1 odds with a 4. And that'll eliminate this paratrooping unit. Here, I'm going to go with my 8. And 7 is 15 to 2, so 7 to 1 odds with a 2. And that's going to eliminate him. And then here I've got a 3 to 8, 1 to 3 odds with a 1. And that's going to be an attacker eliminated here. Okay. And that's going to be the German first movement. We can, and the Partisans, we're going to move the Partisans back up here to the partisan pool. Okay. Now the Germans get to go with their second. Oh, I didn't use my Stuka. Okay, well, shoot. That's fine. So, second impulse. It's light mud, so everybody gets 2. Except for the Axis allies. So this guy doesn't get a go, but this guy does. 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 And I'll move my headquarters up. I think I lost track of my other headquarters, my center headquarters. I don't know where he went. He slipped away. A 2, or here and here. Okay, and I didn't check to see if April, anybody coming in April? No, May. That's right. Okay, we're gonna push hard against, try to get to Moscow. So if we see if we can do that. I've got an 8, and 8 is 16, and 29 to 13, so 2 to 1 odds with a 3. Nothing. Shoot. Okay, here I've got a 6 to 11. 6 to 11, so 1 to 2 odds with a 3. Is an attacker retreat. Here I've got a 10 to 9. Actually, it's going to be a 5 to 9. So 1 to 2 odds with a 6 is an exchange. So we lost 9 here, and it's going to take all those guys out. Okay, here we've got a 15 to 5, 3 to 1 with a 5. And that's going to be a D1, so that's back. It's going to eliminate him. And down here, 8 to 12, so 1 to 2 with a 3. And an attacker retreat. And then down here, 8, 12 to 1 with a 2. as attacker back 1. So we lost another one. So, like I say, the attrition is going to take its toll. I guess this guy's moved back here. Okay, and that would be the end of the first and second impulse of the Axis. We move to the Soviet first impulse for March. March has guys coming in from the east, marching in. And we get one more worker unit. That's a pretty dangerous place for a worker. That's pretty good, though. Let's put the worker here. So I get one worker, and oh, let me do my. I just forgot. I got to do my. First of all, I got to bring my replacements in, and our replacements were with 12 workers, so I get 12 replacements. And we'll put those guys in. Let's see. Oh, they can come in anywhere there's a worker. Actually, I'm going to put one here. And Stellino and Stellino here. Okay, those are my replacements. Now my reinforcements come in. And I had a worker, which I brought in here. Okay, let's check our workers here. Should be 13. 1. Oh, I forgot to do this battle here. Let me finish this up. Go back a turn. 4. Wait, no, I forgot. That was a C. Never mind. Okay, back to workers. Man, keep my head straight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so I've got 13 points of workers. And there we go. And I think, okay, that's... So I brought my workers on. That's going to be for next turn, though. Okay, and then I can bring in these guard units. Now, they can go by rail. Tell you what, I'm going to start with working here. And okay, now bring in these guard units. We'll bring one here. Here. Here, and actually I'll keep a 6 there. Okay. Down here, I gotta remember it's still mud, light mud. Bring him by rail. And I'll leave these guys. Okay. So we're going to start with this attack on this guy here. And it's going to be 7 to 32. So 1 to 3 odds with a 4. Attacker retreats, and this guy can move out. Oops, that's attacker retreat, not defender. Okay. And then this guy's got to fight these here. So he's going to be 10 to 13. 1 to 2 odds. 1 to 2 with a 3. Attacker retreats, so that's going to eliminate him. Okay, and down here, gonna have to do against these two, and it's going to be 10, 13 to 4, 8, 12, 16, so 1 to 2 with a 3. Is an attacker retreat. Okay, we can do that. Here I've got 11 to, and I don't know whether this, if you're in woods, if that retreat would, if you're free from that retreat rule. I'm going to say you're not. Okay, so 11 to 13, 1 to 2 with a 6. 1 to 2 with a 6 is an exchange. So 5, 10, 13, and I lost 11. So yeah, I came out ahead. And then over here, I'm going to have to do these guys at a 8 to 4, 2 to 1 odds with a 2 as an attacker retreat. And here I've got a 6 to 3, 2 to 1 odds with a 6 as a defender back 1, but he's going to be lost. So, okay, that ends the first impulse. Let's go second impulse. I placed my partisans. Going to place these guys out of supply again. So I guess they'll be fighting at half. I mean, he could technically go down here. Man, this seems like this guy would be cut off too. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. We go to our movement. Second impulse, light mud. Everybody's got a move of 2. Still not bad. Oh, I forgot to check my anybody coming in on April. Nope. Okay. Almost forgot that. And we got everybody else pretty much moved. Let's see, anybody else and attacked. Well, gonna stay put there. And down here. So let's start with this attack down here. It's 8 and 6 is going to be 14 to 4, 3 to 1 odds with a 1. Attacker retreat. And then we've got up here a 9, 13, to 15, 1 to 2 with a 6. 1 to 2 with a 6 is going to be exchange. Okay. I can deal with that. Kind of leaves me open on the west side of Moscow, but I can go there. And then over here, anybody? Okay, down here, I've got a 17 to 8. So 1 to 1 odds with a 5. Wait, no, 2 to 1 odds. I'm sorry, 2 to 1. 2 to 1 with a 5 is a defender retreat. And that, I think, is going to end the turn. So we will go to, let's see, there's our second impulse. We're going to May, June. Okay, now we're on May, June of 42. Let's take a quick look around and see, let's see, our, first of all, weather. Let's check our weather here. So May, June is always clear, so we're good there. Stukas are going to be 2 Stuka attacks, and the Germans are going to bring in these guys down here. So we've got a couple Romanian, a Hungarian, and a German unit. So we'll put those in their respective spots. And okay, and I think we can move those guys. Okay. And that is the German replacements. And I realized up here I've left the Leningrad wide open. So going to have to do something about that. I think we'll move, let's see, let's move our rail movements. So there's 1. And double check here. Rail moves. I've said this a zillion times, but they have 6. Okay, we're back to that. I know I've said that a zillion times, but we're gonna, okay, gonna try to knock the Partisans out here, and that's 2. Let's see. I think we can move so well. Let's try to take Kharkov. Okay, and then down here, get these darn railheads. Now, I'm going to say, well, I guess he can move through. Yeah, we're close enough that he can make that rail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think we can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yeah. And then here, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I did take some. Oh, Moscow's wide. Looks like it's almost wide open here. If I were to break into Moscow right now, I would win this. The thing is, I've got to pull around. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this guy can go 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this guy's going to move in here. And I need to wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't make that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's all I can go there. We're going to go here and here. Okay, and then coming down from the bottom here, I think I'm going to come around to Tula, and this guy's going to go to Tula. I mean, I think we can wind our way up. Okay, there's there. I could leave. I could try to leave these guys open. But Stalin's not going anywhere right now, which is good. I think we'll just leave it at that. So we've got 2 Stukas. Doesn't really matter which ones. I'm going to attack a Stuka here. And I'm going to attack with the Stuka here. Okay, now I got to figure out how to do all this. So what I can do is I can fight these 2 against these 2, and then him against him. And so we've got to figure both sides. Okay, so here I've got, this is a little tricky, 8, 16, and 6. It's going to be 22. These guys are doubled, so that's 8 and 21. 22 to 21, so 1 to 1, so it's going to be 3 to 1 odds. And we're going to roll 3 to 1 with a 6. Ooh, defender eliminated. So that means these guys are eliminated. And that's included Stalin. And these guys are eliminated. This goes to airfield. I think that's game. Let's go ahead and finish this up. I'm going to go 4, 9, 12 to 7. So 1 to 1. That's going to be 3 to 1 odds. 3 to 1 with a 1 is an attacker retreats. And then down here, I've got a 4, 8. I should have attacked with these 2. 4, 8, 16, 24 to 17, 1 to 1 with a 6. Is a defender retreat. He has nowhere to go, so he's eliminated. And then down here, I've got a 8, and I've got a 7, 15 to 6, 2 to 1 with a 1. Attacker 1, so we'll take the smallest one off. Actually, yeah, I'll get rid of this guy. And then down here, I've got a 7, 8, 9, 13, 17 to 6. So 2 to 1 odds with a 1. Attacker loses 1. Okay. And then these partisans are going to go to the... I can just put these to... Partisans back up here. Okay, and that ends the turn. We go to movement 2, and let's see, anybody coming in? I got some June guys coming in. Not that this is going to matter, but we're just going to finish up the turn here. There's Romanians and Italians. I guess I should have moved this guy 1, 2, 3, 4. He could have moved. Not going to matter. Yeah, I tend to forget about those guys down here. So those guys are coming in. We go... Who can move? Movement. Second impulse. Clear weather. 2 for infantry. 4 for armor. And they move into Moscow. And, oops. There. They move into Moscow. Right there. And I think that would be game. So they've eliminated... Move into Moscow and they've eliminated Stalin. So... That is pretty much it. It's a German victory. They couldn't have made it many more turns, though, because I think they would have lost out. And like I say, I didn't play that particularly great. I still think the rules for supply and for partisans and railroads, I struggled with it during that game. So anyway, that's what I got. So like I say, I hope let me know down below how you play that with those rules, because I'd certainly be willing to learn a little more about that. And maybe if other people watch this video, they can look at your comments and get kind of an idea. But I thought I'd get this out there. And sometimes when you just don't know it, you just have to keep soldiering through. I think Dunnigan, I remember him writing an article about that, a lot of these games are very complex systems and you're not always going to get it right. And you just have to keep going. Not that that's an excuse. And certainly if I was going to play this in a tournament with other people, I would really have the rules polished down before I did this. But anyway, that's what I got for the week. Again, I appreciate all the nice comments and all the views, and we will talk to you later. Bye.